We continue with the discussion of keeping quiet. The total inactivity is what the poet thinks. People might accuse or blame him of endorsing. And introspection, according to the people, the poet thinks, is total inactivity. Or is it? When people sit down to introspect, people would be physically inactive, no doubt. But they would be mentally very much alive or active. So, poet does not at all, Pablo Neruda does not at all advocate total inactivity. While introspecting, people would be mentally alive, mentally active. And death is physical inactivity plus mental inactivity. This is what he says in the passage, in this particular stanza. Here we are. What I want should not be confused with total inactivity. Life is what it is about. Life is what it is about. If you've taken birth, you'll die. Life continues even after death. I, the poet says, do not want to have any association whatsoever, truck, with death. I don't want to have any truck with death. There's no connection. What he says has no connection with death at all. Now, this particular stanza will first briefly try to understand. He says, if once in our lifetime we could be determined in being stationary, being physically inactive, if once in our lifetime all of us could be determined to be physically inactive and undertake this exercise of introspection, then not to talk of anything else, not to talk of long-term effects, the huge silence that would result will block the flow of one sadness, which is the cause of all sufferings, tribulation, strife, toil that man has to undergo. This huge silence will block the flow of that sadness. And this sadness is that mankind has not been able to understand the essence of mankind. And the essence of mankind is to live in peace and to let others live in peace. And ever since man started leading a settled existence, ever since man has started leading a settled existence, as a result of this, there has been conflicts, there has been strife, there has been struggle, there has been despair, hopelessness, because of the fact that man is out there to kill another man, because he does not realize the essence of mankind. That is the reason things have actually come to such a pass. This is the reason we see so much of suffering, so many hardship, struggle, hopelessness. This silence, huge silence, if ever this exercise were to be undertaken, would block the flow of this sadness. It would block the flow of this sadness that mankind has not been able to understand mankind. Man doesn't understand the essence of man. This, the poet seems to say or suggest, would be the biggest achievement of mankind. This would be the most important immediate benefit to mankind. if we were not so single-minded about keeping our lives moving and for once could do nothing, perhaps a huge silence might interrupt this sadness of never understanding ourselves and of threatening ourselves with death. This is what is meant. And in the last two lines of this stanza, he says, he gives an analogy from Mother Nature to those who doubt his intentions. If you look at nature, nature seems to be quiet and still. Nothing seems to be moving. That doesn't mean it is dead. But if you dig deep, you'll find that nature is pulsating with life. The earth that you stand on is quiet and still. That doesn't mean it is dead. If you dig a little deeper, you'll find it is pulsating with life. So this particular analogy may prove to his critics that he is not advocating death at all. He doesn't favor death at all. He has nothing to do with death at all. If you take birth, you will have to die one day. And now, last two lines he says, now I'll count up to 12 and you keep quiet and go. This is against what he said earlier. Perhaps he thinks that he has undertaken this kind of an exercise many a time earlier. Therefore, he would rather others took it and realized its